Good evening. Can you hear me there, Cass?
Yes, I can.
Nothing? Oh, good.
Yep.
Just thank you so much for your time tonight. I'll just put it through that I've put the SMF order form through today from my wife and myself, and I just have a few questions.
Sure.
Should I be putting in pre-tax contributions into the SMSF or post-tax contributions?
Okay, so that's a good question, and it really depends on your tax rate and your tax position, your individual tax position. So generally, if you're earning over about, say, 50,000 a year, you will get a tax benefit by contributing to super.
Okay.
So the reason for that is it can be a tax deduction. So you do contribute pre-tax, and you can do that by salary sacrificing into the super through your employer, or just putting the contributions in yourself straight out of your bank account into the SMSF.
Yep.
And we'll pick it up and sort out that they're pre-tax, and then you can claim them in your tax return. The reason you get a tax benefit is that the tax rates in Australia, I'll just look them up while we're chatting. You get a tax deduction at your tax rate. The super fund, and we sent a newsletter out about this last week. The super fund does pay 15% tax. That sometimes confuses people because all of a sudden they lodge their SMSF return for the first time and they get a tax bill and they're like, oh, why is this? So the super fund will pay 15% tax on tax contributions, but you get to claim. So I'm just looking at tax rates now. If your income is over 45,000, you get to claim a 30% tax deduction. If your income's over 135,000, you get a 37% tax deduction. If it's over 190,000, you're really lucky, you're earning lots, you get a 45% tax deduction. So it is definitely beneficial to do the pre-tax contributions if your income is over that 45,000. Then you've got to weigh up, well, what's your budget and can you afford to do that or not?
Yep. And that's still up to that $30,000 cap, isn't it?
I think, Mary Jane, is
yeah. Yep, this year it's 30,000. Last year was 27.5. The year before was 25,000. So there's a 5-year catch-up rule. So in total, that's about 135,000 from this year back 5.
And that's less the employer's contributions too.
Put your order form in, and you can't yet make those contributions. But before you do and get excited, just be in contact with us, and I'll put you in contact with our accountants, the one who's going to be in charge of yours, or their supervisor, which is Peter. She's our lead SMSF managing director. And just to make sure that what your plan, because what we're describing here is the big broad brush, but obviously there are personal circumstances that come into the mix.
Great, thanks for that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep, the only other question I have is on physical precious metals. Should I look, my number one bullion deal, which I've been dealing with for a few years now, is Bullion Now in Melbourne. They do have an SMS type thing there that I can vault the gold there if I want. But my big question to you was, they suggested that I keep it in unallocated gold instead of physical to save the fees and storage costs or everything. I'm just wondering, is there a benefit either way to keeping it in unallocated or to actually buy the physical and pay the premium and have it stored?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so a couple of things on that. But before we leave the contributions question, Mary Jane is right. What we're saying here is just really, really general. Really good to check. You get allocated an accountant when you're with us. Really good just to run it past them as well, because they're 100% over you and your fund as opposed to me giving general comments. So do check with them before you do it. So yeah, on the gold and silver, for a very long time, people who have been following me, I've always recommended you hold the physical gold and silver. My rationale for that is that, if things fall apart really, really quickly in the world, you've got it. Nobody can take it off you. It's in your hand, buried in your backyard, wherever it is, you've got it. That's my number one reason. However, I'm not opposed to the unallocated and allocated anymore. If you really trust your dealer, we use Ainsley Bullion. You know, I really trust them. They were open throughout the whole pandemic because they're deemed to be an essential service. So I now do have, actually I have all of mine in storage with unallocated, allocated and storage at a vault. But that was just me personally because I was talking about it so much on all these podcasts. You know,
yeah, well, I'm not you know, at the end of the day, it's something that you've got to come across your head whether you want to store that much money at home. That's my
exactly
killer thing, you know.
So I started getting worried, thinking, oh my God, I'm telling everybody to do this. I'm a target for a robbery here. So I moved all mine. So I've got some in a vault, which is great because a vault, you know, that's your own access. You can go in whenever you want and get it out. And then I have got some in unallocated because, yes, it is cheaper. So the stuff that I've got in unallocated is whereby I might just be parking, say, $50,000. I might just be parking it for, say, 6 to 12 months. I may want it out quickly. And that's the best place to put it because when I'm in quickly, I can literally ring Ainsley Bullion and they'll transfer them in money in 10 minutes. As opposed for me having to drive to the vault, get it out, take it to Ainsley Bullion, then do it. So unallocated is good for that. Cheaper on the fees. And you can convert it from unallocated to allocated to physical at any time. So if the world started going really bad really quick and you're worried about it, then you could just go and convert it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Cass. Thank you.
No worries at all.
All right, Kat, I think you are next with your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about having your crypto in cold storage, so on a cold card and a wallet. When you buy the whatever wallet you want to buy, can that, I'm assuming that can be claimed on your super, that wallet that you're using to store. And also, say you wanted to purchase with someone else online multiple wallets, can you split the receipt? Like one of the cold cards is for my SMS and one of the cold cards is for someone else's SMS. When you go then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think you possibly could, but I wouldn't run the risk. SMSF auditors are so pedantic. So I can't really answer that question. It would be the SMSF auditor. They're not going to want to answer the question. They don't like answering questions. They'll just cause you a headache over it. I don't think the headache would be worth the saving you'll get by doing that.
Getting multiple cards.
Yeah. Keep it separate. The number one thing. So to give you an example of how pedantic they are, in my vault, I had all my SMSF super, but I had my own gold and silver in there anyway, as well. I mean, and when I took a photo of it, some of my personal stuff was on the table next to the SMSF stuff, and I got in trouble from the auditor because I'm not allowed to put my gold in the same place as the SMSF. I mean, who cares? But anyway, it's not worth them being so pedantic. I wouldn't do that if I was you.
Okay, and what if it was purchased in retrospect? So say a cold card was purchased 2 months ago or before the SMSF was set up. Can that receipt be claimed kind of in retrospect? Because the intention at the time was for an SMSF that I knew.
Is your receipt in the name of the SMSF? Is the cold card receipt and account in the name of the SMSF?
That's a good point.
No.
Yeah, if it's not, it's only a couple of $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
About $300 or something. Yeah.
Mary Jane is right. You know, the receipt would have to be in the name of the SMSF. I was just thinking the SMSF could buy it off you, but then that's problematic in itself because SMSFs are not meant to buy assets off members.
Okay, so it's better that the SMSF bank account actually purchases it.
It's required.
Gotcha.
Everything that you want to purchase in the SMSF, it's absolutely essential the SMSF pays for it.
And what about storage fees for your gold or stuff like that? Is that also a deduction?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I think that that's helped. Thank you.
Yeah, so the rule of thumb is that, and this is in our frequently asked questions under the investment section, that the SMSF, all the receipts that you buy or you sell, they all need to be in the name of the SMSF, and the money needs to go in and out of the SMSF bank account. Now, occasionally, for example, with the setup fee where you have to pay a deposit in advance, that's fine. You pay it yourself and refund yourself from the SMSF bank account. That's $660. So I have had somebody who had bought the cold wallet in their not in their own name. It was in the name of the SMSF, but they'd paid for it and they reimbursed themselves. So that is possible. But if it's not in the name of the SMSF, then it's a sort of a moot point because it's not an SMSF asset.
Thank you. I'm glad I waited to ask the question. Thanks.
Yeah, and to save a couple of $100, it's not worth the hassle with the auditor.
Julie, I think you're next. Just unmute yourself.
Hi. Yep. Sorry about that. I've got 3 different types of questions, but I can do the big one and then wait and see if there's time for later. I just wanted to ask about personal loans to self-managed funds for the purpose of buying property. So I've had a little bit of a tried to understand the ATO's website, and there's things like related party, limited recourse borrowing, safe harbors and stuff like that. But generally, if we had, for example, redraw on our mortgage, can we enter into a legal agreement with our self-managed super fund to lend the money to the fund? I know that you can't charge more interest. I wouldn't want to. But do we have to use the ATO's interest rate? And is that's no, I just want to check it's no form of contribution or it's just a loan.
Yeah. So in answer to your question, yes, you can. It's a bit of an expensive process because we have to do a whole lot of legal paperwork to make it work. So we have to set up a bare trust that buys the property, and we have to set up a good, a proper LRBA paperwork so that you're basically exactly like a bank and you are doing a mortgage to the super fund. So like if it was just you were lending, say, $20,000, you wouldn't go through all this. You wouldn't do all of that. But if you're doing it to buy a property, so you're lending a substantial amount, yes, you can. You won't also be able to borrow from the bank.
Yeah. So the difference with us borrowing a bit of family money and drawing everything off our mortgage is the difference between buying a $400,000 empty block of land and doing nothing with it yet, or buying a $900,000 working farm that is a business. So we'd probably look at 500,000 in total, sort of 370 off our mortgage and what we've got in the bank and everything like that, and maybe 70 off family. And then loaning. So we're looking at loaning that amount. But I think if the interest rates weren't as bad as the bank and we were able to, like I might be able to do a downsize, a contribution in 3 years, 8 months. So that would take a chunk. That would, I expect if I met the limits, that would go like 200,000 might go straight to the self-managed super fund. But I look at all these numbers and then I kind of go, but it's minus 15% there or minus 30% there. Or
there's no tax on the loan that you're going to put the money in. There's no tax on a downsizer contribution. There's the tax that in relation to what I was talking to Pete about. The 15% tax only on contributions where you're claiming a tax deduction. And that's easier to remember in that if you're getting a tax benefit in your own name, then the ATO want their clip on the other side.
Oh, can you just repeat that? It's only a 15% tax on contributions only when I'm claiming the 30%?
Only when you're claiming a tax deduction in your personal name.
So if we made, of course, because then it's a post-tax contribution pre-tax. I get it. Yeah. Okay, in my own name. And at 55, I could do a downsizer contribution and that wouldn't be taxed at all.
Correct. And then you could pay off the loan. Yeah, be a bit of a round robin. You could do a downsizer contribution into the super fund, and then the super fund could give you that money back to pay off the loan.
And that leads into my second question. I can only really see two ways to earn income to pay off a loan. One is to rental income, and the second is all our contributions. Is there any other way to get money into the super fund to pay off the loan more quickly, the loan to us?
No, really only that, or traditionally people would invest in the share market and use the dividends of the shares and the share growth and things like that. I personally don't recommend that at the moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, no, and that's why we're doing self-managed super fund. So I know that needs a whole lot more maths and detail, but when other people have finished talking, I've got a couple more questions about leases and the interest rate on a personal loan to the self-managed super fund. Is that set? Is that what this limited recourse borrowing rate is?
Yeah, it has to be market value, so it can be a little bit different, but it's got to be acceptable to the ATO. So pretty much it would, last time I looked at this, but this will be something we'd double check for you. It was roughly about the same as the bank mortgage rates anyway.
And the bank mortgage rates on our home loan, could we justify that we're, yeah. And then is it a set rate or is it then a variable rate based on everything else?
You can determine that. So once again, it's just got to be what you would do on the normal market. So you could go to a bank and get a fixed loan, or you could go to a bank and get a variable loan. So you can do the same thing with yourself with the SMSF, do it fixed or variable.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Julie, before you go, when you're ready to do this, you will be best off booking a one-on-one consult with me, and so we can flesh it out a little bit more, and I can give you a quote for the paperwork and everything that needs to be done to back this up.
Yeah, and just for everyone else, it seems like I can indeed, like I've been thinking about for 10 years, use my super to buy my business that I do for the next 20 years. I don't, because it would be semi-commercial, because I'd be using the premises that we're buying to earn my income.
Yeah, and just that's where you'd need the one-on-one consult for anyone doing this. The super fund can buy a business premises. So yes, you could buy a commercial place, for example. You can also buy a working farm. However, a super fund cannot run a business.
Yeah, so I have to rent it.
Yeah, the super fund rents it to a business. So there can be a few different entities involved. If you don't already have one, we set up a company that's running the farm or running the commercial property, or company doing something. That company rents the property off the super fund.
If I'm a practicing therapist and that's all I've done for 10 years, and I'm actually taking my business to a place where I can treat people, do I have to become a company, or can I just stay on my ABN and rent commercially like I used to?
Yeah, you can just be a sole trader, that's fine.
Yeah, just that I've had a company before and it was big, you know, like, okay, thank you so much.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Okay, who's next?
Hi, Cass. Hi, Mary Jane. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. That's lucky. I have two quick questions. The first one is about bullion. 14 months ago, I bought some with one of the two companies you recommended, and it's not the one you were on tour with this year. Because I live in the bush, I thought, like, when I ordered it, they said, yep, we can get it couriered to you, no worries, just let us know. Anyway, after what happened in the last few weeks, I thought, I've got to get it down here or I'm going to be in trouble. I rang him up. He said that he would get it sent to a town the biggest town near me, by some special global company they use, and then I asked if send it back to you and cash it in, can I just put it on that same courier and send it back? And he said, no, you've got to send it by Australia Post. But he'd only just finished telling me we don't send anything by them because we don't trust them. But I just felt really uneasy because he just kept going around in circles saying, no, you can't send it by our courier. You've got to send it back yourself and you've got to insure it. And I thought, I just didn't think things were going well. So my question is, am I better off just to sell it back to them now while it's still in their hands and go with the other bullion company that you were on your travel trip with this year? Would that be better? Are they a bit more?
Yeah, you could definitely have a look at that, but give some thought to, I'll ask them firstly what fees you'd be up for.
Yep.
Like if they were willing to like cancel the whole transaction and give you your money back, that might be worth it. But if they're going to do a full sale on you, you could lose 3, 4, 5%.
Oh, really?
So how long have you held this bullion for?
Probably 14 months.
14 months. So
15 months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you will lose in fees. So no, it wouldn't be worth selling it and then buying it again from another bullion dealer.
Really?
So Kathy, can I ask, so in short, what you're aiming to do is hold the bullion personally and then you need to sell it? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I was just going to, like I live on a farm, I was just going to bury it in the paddock. And yeah, and if you know, if the inevitable happens and I need to sell it for money to do things, well, I was just going to ship it back to the company in Sydney or Melbourne, wherever they are, and get cash that way. Unless
So another option, sorry, Cass, just to give you a break. Another option is that you could ask them to transfer it from what so they've got it now, right?
Yep.
But you want to hold it personally because you're concerned about the state of the world.
Yes.
Right.
And
okay.
that's what Cass always said to do, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You're better off having it in your hands.
Yeah.
How far away are you from driving to one of the major capital cities?
Well, I'm 6 hours and I would never, ever drive to the city, especially into the middle of the city where you got to go. That's just, not something I would do.
Do you have friends that have got a lot of money that want to buy some gold? You never know. There might be communities in your area. I mean, it's traded. Look, and that's an unknown question. So you brought up a lot of interesting questions. We can't make that value judgment for you. You just have.
I've got a question. I think I know what they're saying. They'll ship it to you, fine, because they've got the whole process and procedures to do that, and it's insured and everything. He probably just got a little bit flabbergasted when you said, how do I get it back to you? Because they're not used to dealing with that end of it. You can, as a personal person, contact a courier company and arrange a delivery and arrange insurance. That's all he's saying. You'll have to do that yourself on your end, and it's not that big a deal. You could do that.
But would you just trust any courier company to do that? Because
no, you do it with insurance. You'd contact the courier company. So it doesn't matter if they steal it. Who cares? It's insured.
So righto. So you're able to get insurance with any courier company, really, righto?
Yeah.
And do you have to tell them what it is, though?
What was that? Sorry.
Well, it was going to cost $650 to send what I've got down to me.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive to send.
Yep. Okay.
And so that's why you sometimes think like you wouldn't drive 6 hours. How much does a plane cost? Because sometimes I've just flown to get my gold. Mary Jane and I have got lots of funny stories we could talk about taking gold and silver through airports. Because I have just picked it up and flown home with it because I thought, well, hang on, it's going to cost me $700 in delivery. It's only going to cost me $300 to fly. I may as well go to Sydney for the day. So that's another thought as well.
Oh, righto. It's all a worry, isn't it?
Yeah, but then you have to weigh up the worry. Okay, are you worried about it staying there, and then if the world falls apart and you can't get it, that's a big worry? Would you be more content, less worried, burying it in your backyard, and then just knowing that if you want to cash some in, you'll have to send it back to them? Why don't you consider maybe getting 3/4 of it sent to you, bury it in the backyard for the long term, leave 1/4 of it with them, knowing that you can cash that in easily.
Okay. Righto. That makes sense. Yeah. All right.
Which is sort of what I've done. I was saying earlier that, you know, I don't have any personally anymore, but I've got a lot in a vault, and then I've got some with Ainslie Bullion, so that if I want to ring them, and like I'm going to do it right now because I've run out of money for my construction here on my farm, so I'll be ringing Ainslie in the next week, say, you know, cash in 50,000 of that and put it in my account so I can pay my builder.
Okay. All right. Yep, that makes more sense. And I think I might have done the wrong thing. Some of it I actually bought kilo bars of silver. That might have been a bit less easy to transact with.
No, not really, because kilo are only about $1,000. The kilo bar of gold is the one that's about 100,000. That's hard to cash in. You have to cash in the whole lot.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your time and answering that. I appreciate it.
No worries at all.
Julie, you've got your last couple of questions you had, follow-on questions?
Yeah, so Kathy, that was just Kathy finished, is she? No one else put their hand up, so I thought I'll ask my other ones. I'll do one and then let Sophie go. Well, 1.5. Just on the selling gold, if you are selling a kilo and you take it to them, they're not like, do you just get a receipt to say that they will be depositing the money into your account? Because it'd take a day or two to show up.
It depends on how much. These days, most transactions are instantaneous.
Okay, so do we kind of hang around and wait until the money comes through, or?
Or if it does get held up by the banks, you know, if it's someone like Ainslie Bullion, they've been around 50 years. They're impeccable. You can trust them. They wouldn't still be in business for 50 years if they'd ever done anything dodgy.
But they would give you a receipt for sure, saying that, so.
And if the money didn't turn up, then you're the 1 in 1,000 that they just need to follow it up. And the difference between holding on to gold and holding on to property, if you don't sell the gold and you don't sell the property, do you have to pay any interest on the capital improvement of those two things year to year? Like we only pay tax on the gold when we sell the gold.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And so if you bought property and you would only pay rent on the rental income earned for that property.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So I'll just be quick with if you did buy a property that you could rent at market rate, so you need a valuation. If you rented it to someone other than yourself, can you do that sort of personally on a legal lease, or do you have to do it through a real estate agent?
No, you can do it yourself. Just get like we've got a farm Mary Jane's involved with as well, and we do some renting of some of the properties here, and we just do it through a downloaded template. Just as long as you've got that's enough for the auditor.
Yeah, but the only thing I would mention is that to just verify market rate, you just go on to realestate.com, domain or whatever it is, find an equivalent property that's on the market and print that off to show that the rent you're offering is market rate.
Oh, great. So you don't need a valuation.
No.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. And if we did something like this, we would be all in on one asset. So and our goal would be for the super fund to pay off the loans owing on that asset. Can we just sit on one big asset and then when it's paid off, we diversify?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we talk to you about as after the SMSF is set up and we move on to do the accounting. You have something called an investment strategy.
Yeah, we're with you, Cass, and we've done ours. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So in the investment strategy, there is just a way of saying, no, we are not diversified. We're 100% in the one asset and we're happy with that. It's the trustee's choice to invest. You just have to document that, yep, you've considered it. You know you're not diversified. You're happy with that and sign off on it. And that's all the auditor needs.
Thanks so much.
No worries. Anyone else with their hand up?
Hi, it's Sophie here. Can I have a quick question?
Sure thing.
Thank you. We'll just go back to flying with gold. I've been doing the drive down to Sydney and Melbourne all this time, thinking that it was illegal to fly with gold. So, how much gold am I allowed to actually carry over on a plane?
As much as you want. And we've got some good tips for this because I've done it lots of times. Mary Jane's done it with me as well. And what you do is when you get, I put it in my carry-on because I would be very scared just putting that in the luggage, sending it off on the plane and hoping your bag turns up at the other. So I keep it on my carry-on with wheels so it's not too heavy. And we did once, Mary Jane and I kicked up a massive big fuss and refused to let the bag leave our hand. And we caused all sorts of fuss not going through the scanners. And I wouldn't do that again because I've looked at the airports these days and there is a camera every metre. So your bag's not going to go missing going through the little scanner thing. What happens is they put it through the scanner and they go, oh, there's something in here. So they pull it off to the side, they call you over and you immediately say to the security people, I would like a private room.
Right.
Most of the airports are okay with this, but every airport has got it. I did have a Canberra airport. They didn't speak good English. And she was saying, no, we need to search it. And I'm going, no, you need to give me a private room. No. Mm-hmm. And then I just put my hand on the bag and said, you are not to touch my bag. Call your manager. The manager came over. I said, I'd like a private room. He said, yeah, okay, no problem. They've all got to give you a private room. They then
So what happens in that room?
It's just a little room off to the side. They then take you and the bag into the room. Then they search the bag while you watch. And you keep a good eye on the hands. If you want, pull out your phone and video them searching it. The reason you get a private room is that once I couldn't be bothered. I only had 10,000 in there. I thought, oh, what the hell? So I went through and then they pulled it over and I said to the guard, I whispered, he said, do you have something metal in here? And I said, yes, I've got silver. And then he yells out at the top of his voice, hey, there's silver in this bag over here. And then I had to walk around the rest of the airport watching my back thinking, oh my God, that's why you get a private room is so that not everybody sees what you've got in your bag. They take you off to a private room, they search it, then they send you on your merry way. There's no problem. There's nothing illegal whatsoever about carrying it. Yeah.
They don't ask you where you got it and just show proof and all that sort of stuff?
None of their business. They just want to check it to make sure it's not a security risk. You're not sneaking something metal on there that can blow up a plane.
The only thing to bear in mind is if you're traveling Jetstar and you have a 7 kilo carry-on luggage and then you suddenly realise you've got 15 kilos of silver. So I travelled once with 2 5 kilos strapped in little bum bags around my waist under a big pregnancy shirt. Don't do that. It nearly killed me. And then I had 5 kilos of carry-on. Because of that, I did look at the check-in arrangements. And I don't think it was Jetstar, it was another, maybe Virgin. And it does say you are not allowed to put bullion in check-in. I don't know why they say that, but in one of the conditions, it said you cannot, like they say you can't check in batteries and blah, 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 blah. It very specifically included bullion. So I wouldn't be checking it in anyway, but just be aware of the weight that you're carrying. So that's where gold.
You can only take 7 kilos? That's nothing.
Oh, Yeah, no, I know, but that's a cheap Jetstar thing. We go up to the Gold Coast a lot and just take a little
Oh.
carrier. Yeah, but just be aware of weight, and that I wouldn't be checking it in personally.
No.
No, but I'm just saying, if you've got, say, many kilograms, how do you carry it on board? Do you pay extra?
well,
I'm not sure. Is that...
That's a good point. So gold is easy to take on because if you took 7 kilos, that's $700,000 right there. Silver is a lot more difficult. Yeah, you can only most airlines, although some airlines have a 14 kilo carry-on limit. What Mary Jane did, a little bit sneaky of her, technically illegal. Yeah, that she wrapped it in a bum bag behind a jumper, so they didn't even see that she had extra kilos. But yeah, if you're going to put it in you got to check their carry-on weight and not go
Didn't
over.
they notice it when you went through the X-ray machine?
No, well, so there was a whole process. So through the X-ray machine. So this is the X-ray is the airport security. The carry-on weight is the airline, and they're completely separate entities. So going through the airport, I had it all in the carry-on bag.
Oh, right.
Very heavy. And I said to them, I'll put it through, but in advance, I want a private room, please. And they went, yeah. And this was in Melbourne Airport, and I went through. That was fine. Then I went into the toilet, got my pre-prepared bum bags out, strapped them on around my waist under the pregnancy shirt, and went and sat down in front of Jetstar, trying to look very relaxed and light. And it nearly killed me. Never, ever do that. Never strap 10 kilos around your weight in silver. It's not pleasant. So no, it was a separate thing. So you got to be really but that's why gold or unallocated. I've switched from physical silver to unallocated because it's just carrying silver is just too heavy for me.
Yeah, thank you very much.
David, your turn.
How you going? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Matthew, we don't like to see you eating your dinner, mate. Can I just say that I've just recently turned 60 and I would like to do a transition to retirement. Can I take the amount out in a lump sum?
Yes. So you turned 60. Are you still working?
On and off.
Have you left a job? Like, are you self-employed or with an employer?
Bit of both. And the employer hasn't got any work at the moment.
Okay, so you've left a job.
Yeah,
so that's
pretty much. You could say that.
Yeah. So the definition of being able to get it is turn 60 and left a job, even if it's a loose leaving a job. So it sounds like you meet it because you've left a job. Even if you go back to that employer in a month's time, that's okay. You've technically left the job. So yes, you can take it out. You could take it out in a pension every month if you want that, or a week, or whatever you want, or you can simply log on to the bank account and take it out in lump sums.
Awesome. I think that's it. Thanks for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, excellent. No, we love it. And that's one of the flexible things about an SMSF, is that you can just literally log on and, you might take 20,000 out to buy a new car, and then you might take some more out to buy something else. Whereas to do that in the industry funds, the online ones, it's a massive hassle to even just get bits out at a time. So yeah, SMSF
Absolutely
is great for that. Just one thing we do say is, even though you're 60 and you can take it, we still don't recommend you do take it all, because the best place for any investment is in the SMSF, because now that you're 60, it's all tax free. So
yeah, absolutely. So I have been told by one of your lovely ladies that I've got to take a minimum of 4%.
yes.
And that's all I would do. I wouldn't take any more than that.
Yep, good. Because yeah, it's better left in there. If you're going to buy gold or something, why not have a massive capital gain, which I think is going to happen, and have it all tax free. So
absolutely. Thanks again.
No worries at all.
Deirdre, it's over to you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. The investment strategy form.
Yes.
Mary Jane, you sent that through to me, and it's got lots of bits where fill in spots. So obviously you can, put your details and stuff in it. Can it be, if you're only doing bullion, is that a very straightforward form? Like, can you just fill it out with just that it says we've got 100% bullion, or do you have to break it down and say I've got gold and silver, or no?
No, so you would actually have some cash in the bank, because you'll have a little bit of cash in the bank. So 0 to 10% cash in the bank, and then 10 to, I can't do the maths, Cass, but 10 to 90%, I don't know, bullion. But
Right.
that's fine. You don't need to break it down to gold and silver.
Okay, that's fine. And so with the money in the bank, we've left a little bit. So we've had all the rollovers done, and there's still a little bit in the bank. And we intend to, or we'd like to leave it there until such time as we think, just in case silver drops or gold drops, and we'd like to invest when it's at low. Should we put that into the other, like the
Accelerator account?
That's it?
Yeah. So that's what that little side pocket. So normally we set, we set everyone up with 2 bank accounts there attached. It's actually one bank account with a little side pocket that gives you better interest. Right. So the cash management account gives you 2.65% at the moment. That's the account that you must, or you can only transfer in and out of. Right. And the side pocket gives you 4.65 at the moment percent. Right. And that is where you park any chunks of cash. You like you were saying, you just want to leave it there for when the time is right to invest in something else. Right. You cannot transfer externally in or out of that side pocket. Right. So to use that money, you first have to move it back into the normal CMA and then do the external transfer.
So do we have to get in touch with the bank to do that, or can I just do that online?
You can do that online. You just go onto the your Macquarie portal, click transfer, and it's just like online banking, really. You just choose that. Yeah.
Also, the breakdown of, so we've got 5 members in our super fund, and we've got 2 employees, 2 people that are on the employee system. So they're getting money transferred in through their employer. The percentage, that just goes into their contribution. Is that, I don't know whether I'm using the right words here.
Yep.
And that, who works that out? Like, it so obviously goes into the super stream, then it comes back into our bank account, does it?
So do you want me to answer this, Cass? Yep. So it takes a little bit to get your head around, but it's actually really simple. So the bank account is one bank account. So the money goes in and out of the bank account. And so the SMSF has that money in it. But in the background, we have our extremely complicated, extraordinarily expensive accounting software system that allocates moment by moment any incoming or outgoing money, and it allocates that to your individual account. So in the Trioli SMSF, which is your family SMSF with the 5 members, the 2 members who have employer contributions, the money's going into the bank account, but in the back end, the feed is going through to our accounting system. In the accounting software, you've all got, there's 5 accounts, and that money's only being allocated against those 2 members.
Okay, that's good to know. And so if I was to put in a contribution, that's exactly the same, is it?
Yep. Yes, so, it is.
Yep, excellent. I think that's all.
And we always recommend, so you're talking about a personal contribution.
Yes.
We always recommend that before you do a personal contribution, you just have a quick chat with your accountant or Peter, who manages the accountants, just to make sure that you're getting the best tax benefit from it.
Okay, yes, all right. Beautiful, thanks.
Like if it's a little contribution, maybe not, but if it's a significant one, definitely.
Yes, okay. All right, thank you.
No worries at all.
All right, Julie, you've got your hand up again.
Thanks very much. Quick question. If there's anyone else waiting, I can wait. But if we buy the property and I turn 60, Cash, you previously suggested not to buy your dream home because you have to pay capital gains tax if you buy it off the self. No, you have to pay stamp duty. Yeah, if you buy it off yourself. But can we just keep it and live in it even though the self-managed fund owns it?
No, unfortunately not. Unless you disguise it. You don't tell anyone you're living in it, but don't tell
Julie,
the
Julie, can I just jump in? Were you buying the farm, the commercial farm?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So a commercial farm can have a housing allocation if you're involved in that, but that's as much as I know. Cass?
Yes. So being a farm, that's a little bit of a different question. Traditionally, no, you can never live in a property owned by the SMSF. But the ATO have, for once, been a little bit more reasonable and realised that when the SMSF's running a big or got a big farm property and you're living there, because I mean I'm on a farm now. I know we have to be here. The lambs might be giving birth at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we've got to get up. Well, not the lambs, the sheep. They have lambs. Yeah. So the ATO have realised that running a farm, they will let you live on the property. I would double check this once again. Have a personal consult with me, and we'll look right into the rules. But I think the last time I looked at something like if the house makes up only 5% of the property, which most houses would, like, because the house is only like, say, 700 meters squared, and then the property is 150 acres, so that would be less than 5%. Then the ATO say that is okay. They accept that you will live there.
Yeah, okay. Thanks so much. It's only 10 acres and it would probably be mostly bees and lambs. So it's not would it qualify as a working farm?
The space of the house is less than 5% of the space of the space of the land that you're using for the farm. So if you had the sheep running all over the other 10 acres, you just have to do your maths on what 5% of 10 acres is, and that the house is no bigger than that.
And your question about it, would it be considered a commercial farm? Well, I mean, it's got to be commercially operating.
So we have to be selling something.
Yeah, you have to be paying GST and that sort of thing. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of rules around that. And they're once again probably the subject of a whole meeting because they're very complex. There's these things called the non-commercial business rules, and they've got 5 different rules. But one of them is the property worth more than 500,000. You tick that box.
Yeah.
So we're getting over towards the commercial. You just want to make sure you don't have to be selling the sheep every single year. It's just that you are breeding for the purpose of selling them at some stage. When it gets big enough. Just a little bit of funny story on the side of that. I don't know if people know, but I was with the tax department for 11 years as an auditor, a fraud squad auditor. And so we did a big project on primary producers to make sure they were running proper businesses. And so one of the tests we had back then was like, how big is the size of the herd of the sheep or whatever you've got? And so it was in a little country town a few hours away from Canberra, and we turned up to the appointment, but the farmer had got it wrong. We turned up for the appointment, but he thought the appointment was the next day. As we turn up, a truck of sheep turn up. And apparently what they had all done is because we were auditing like about 10 different farmers in the area, they had all got together and colluded, and they had this truck of sheep that was going to be delivered to each farm literally just before we turned up. So that's one way around it. Just borrow someone's sheep for the day if the tax auditor's coming. But yeah, I can help you work through all those rules and make sure that you are running a commercial enough farm to keep the tax office happy.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, Julie, thank you. Pete, you're next. We've got Pete and then Matthew, and then we'd probably be hitting 7 o'clock.
Just one quick last question about Ainsley Bullion. I haven't had any dealings with them so far, but do they have vaulting services in Brisbane and Melbourne? Is that correct?
Yes, they do, just within walking distance of their office. And and they can deliver it to the vaulting service for you.
Right.
And
yeah, I'm in Sydney, so as you know, in Sydney, there's not a lot of dealers up this way that are good. There's only one big one in the city there, and they're terrible with their pricing and that. So I tend to deal with Melbourne mainly, but yeah.
Yeah, great.
Okay, thank you, Cass. Thank you, Marion.
No worries.
Hey, thank you for that insight. That's interesting. Yeah, okay. I didn't know about that. I both Cass and I also dealt with that big one in Sydney for a while. And I must say, you just go in, you do that. You're just a number. You just there's no assistance. But Ainsley, and there's another small one that we've dealt with in South Australia. They actually provide very human service and are helpful education. And the difference is so stark. Even if someone's in New South Wales, I only recommend Ainsley these days.
Yeah, well, that's what we're faced with, unfortunately. But yeah, look, they're fine. They're just really expensive compared to other bullets. They're just ripping people off, as far as I can see. But they have a nice new lavish. They have a nice new lavish store.
ABC.
Yeah.
So are you talking about the bullion or the voltage?
Well, the bolting too, and if I'm going to pay out for bullion, I want to get it at the cheapest rate I can, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning that anyone going to Ainsley Bullion, do mention that you're from us. They do give you a little discount. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. And we don't get anything of that. We've just done that deal with them so that they'll give our clients a discount. And that's all. I always like mentioning also that ever since I started recommending gold and silver, I have had dealers offer me commission. I do not take it. I do not want it, because the moment I take commission is the moment that I'm no longer unbiased. So I don't get anything out of my recommendations. I recommend gold and silver because that's what I'm investing in and it's what I believe in. Matthew, did you have a question?
Yes. Me and my wife are acutely aware of the current world situation, and we've been referred to you guys. We're planning to set up a SMSF. I've previously gone with ABC Bullion, but now what I know, Ainsley seems a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm only 44, so I would like to extract my super out of the Cabal super fund that I'm in, and put it all into gold. Now, is that possible?
Absolutely, and that's what probably almost everyone on this call is doing. Probably 90% of our clients are just all in gold and silver. The other 10% have probably got a little bit of property.
Yeah, I don't want property because, well, we know that ATO is a fictional entity, but we don't know when that's going to collapse. But you still have to. Property is going to change. Gold and silver won't, will it?
Yeah, I'm the same. I was a property expert and I've written books on it, and I spent the last 20 years of my career helping people build property portfolios. 18 months ago, I sold my whole portfolio and I said to my firm, I'm not selling property anymore because I just, I don't believe property's got a good fit. Rural property different. For I think Julie were talking about the farm. Rural property I think's got a place because I always say the number one things we need: gold and silver as an investment, and rural property so that you've got food, animals and agriculture. But as for residential investment properties, I sold all of them and I'm not recommending them. I think we're going to go into a property crash as the economy crashes.
Okay, so I would have to give you a call to set up an SMSF.
No, you can call Mary Jane, and
Okay.
we even talk to Mary Jane. There's an order form. Actually, Mary Jane can answer this.
I was going to say, Matthew, if you want to send me your or here's my email in the chat, and then just send me a short email tomorrow. I'll follow up with our sort of introductory general information, which will answer probably 90% of your questions. Then you can book in a free consult with me to follow up on any other questions, and then we can take it from there.
Beautiful.
Okay. Just to follow up in the chat, which before we go to the last question, Kathy has said, that's interesting. ABC Bullion doesn't seem to have a good name now. I was told on the weekend they are running a scam. Several politicians were involved. Have we heard anything? And I said, no, I haven't. Cass, have you heard anything?
No, I haven't heard anything at all.
Yeah. For the product itself or storage. Look, and it's interesting. We do have a weekly newsletter, and I'm always very keen to hear anything about anything. So if you've got something topical and you want to email me, my email's in the chat. And if you hear like anything that's got a source, a reputable source, or a source where someone has actually experienced something, then by all means send it to us, and we can do some research and share it with people. We don't take any commissions from anyone about anything. The reason that we are very supportive of Ainsley, and personally, I've learned a lot from their educational seminars over the last year and a half. We do seminars, Cass and I do it to explain self-managed super funds. They do it on the bullion and crypto side. I've learned so much, and their sheer willingness to go out to regional centres to share what they know has been really impressive.
Yep.
And their care for their clients. And I've been to ABC myself in Sydney and been just treated like, and they're busy. They're busy people. We're busy. We're in Sydney.
Yeah. And to add to that, they are awake and aware, whereas ABC Bullion, they're just young kids, salespeople that get commission. Ainsley Bullion know everything that we know and really believe in gold and silver for the same reasons that we do. And you can have open conversations with them about these things, and they're not going to look at you like you're crazy. They're going to nod their head and go, yes, yes, yes. Yes.
And
So
they share a huge amount of information on their website. Go onto news and they have a lot of very detailed analysis. Bit too detailed for most people, including myself, so we try to distill some of that and share it. So there are some coming in through the chat, but I'll go to Anthony Krajinovic if you've got a question with your hand up. You'll have to unmute yourself, Anthony. While you're unmuting yourself, I'll just quickly answer this. Why do we use Macquarie Bank? We use Macquarie Bank for two reasons. One is that their portal is extremely helpful so that we can help our clients do 90% of the paperwork that needs to be done. Most other banks don't. We have their feed coming through, so it's all fed into our back-end accounting system. That's two reasons. The third reason is their interest rates are very competitive. And the structure of the accelerator account, it's not a fixed term deposit. You can use it like a cash management, but you get a high interest rate. So they're actually very good. I know the question's probably underlined by the fact that they don't allow cash, but an SMSF can't deal in cash anyway for compliance reasons. So it's always been a mortgage lender, a mortgage brokering bank, a trust SMSF bank. So it's not really been a normal sort of, what do you call it, a normal retail bank. So it's always been in that specialist category. Anthony, can you get your mic working? No, sorry, having tech issues. I can't seem to unmute. I'll save the question next time. Thanks heaps, info guys. Okay, Pete, Julie, yes, you can. To my knowledge, Bullion Now and Perth Bullion Exchange are the only dealers that pay spot price metals. So, Julie, I hope you got that message. Right, Cass, it is 7:01.
Okay, well, so keep an eye on our newsletter. We do run these at night, and then we also run them at lunchtime, just on alternative fortnights. See when we're running the next one, and join us again. We don't mind if people just log on and listen. That's perfectly fine. If you've got burning questions, great place to come and bring them. And we'll help you in any way we can.
And the next one is Thursday, the 5th of September. So at the moment, we're doing it once every 2 weeks. Thursday, the 5th of September at lunchtime, 12:30 p.m. And we always have the link on our banner on the website.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. See you again.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye.
Thanks for your time.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.